What's going on, guys? This is Tech Habit Weekly, episode 16. That's three high fives and one index finger. This is a show where every week we get into our habit of talking tech. And with me is Casey Nightmare. You guys might know him. Huge Miley Cyrus fan. He has every single song she's ever produced. He has those set as his ringtone and every notification sound you could ever imagine. We're very
Even her
pleased to have you here,
pre-release
Dante.
underground mixtape. I have that too, also.
I didn't even know that existed. If that's a thing, then thank you for sharing that. I'm sure we lost half our audience by now. But anyway, what we're going to do today is give you a good overview of different. We have quite the variety today. Basically, we're going to talk about some VNC stuff. That's LogMeIn services. We have iOS 7.1 beta 4 being seeded out. A transparent display, which might catch your attention. Some Google news, some Beats news. It's going to be a pretty gem-packed show, and of course, at the end, we're going to tie it in all together with some very tasty, tantalizing tech treats. That's a lot of teas. So, Dante, go ahead and kick us off with our first story about iOS 7.1 Beta Quattro being seeded to developers.
Yes, as everyone may or may not know, Apple has finally released iOS 7.1 Beta 4 to developers. And if you guys have been following some of the betas, we've noticed that there's been the integration of the new format of iOS. And there's a lot of fixes are going to be in there to fix some things that are in iOS 7. And some of the things that we have to look forward to, basically, one of the biggest problems is people that are jailbroken. If you are jailbroken and you
Yeah.
are trying out these different betas, there's certain different outlets to be able to find some of these betas out on the internet. But if you're a registered developer or someone who just happens to know a developer and you have the beta seeded to yourself, be careful with this particular update because it patches the jailbreak. And if people are relying on jailbreaks or just really like your customization and your tweaks and things like that, this is an update, at least in beta form, that you would like to stay away from until some of the jailbroken apps and developers and have patched that. And I haven't read anything yet as far as anyone saying that, hey, they're going to have 7.1 patch pretty quickly. I mean, there were in the first beta stages, but now it seems like that's kind of null and void right now. So what do you think about this particular article, Bob? Do you think this is going to hurt a lot of people in the Apple iPhone community who's actually using some of these betas to test out, or do you think it's just something that
Um,
they'll just wait?
Well, first off, I want to say that ever since iOS 7 came out, we talked about this a couple shows back when it actually came out. But I think iOS 7 made a lot of people not want a jailbreak. I'm kind of one of them. A lot of things that a jailbreak did, we kind of have in iOS 7. We have that next level of customization that Apple has just recently given us. We talked about that I think 2 episodes ago. So first off, I don't think there's as many people jailbroken as there was, say, maybe a year or two ago. But I do think that the people that are jailbroken, they're definitely going to want to hold back. The developers actually aren't saying 100% officially that this has patched it because in this article here, they pointed out that us telling or like them telling us, them being the developers of the jailbreak, telling us doesn't really benefit us all that much right now because 7.1 is not even really out yet. Most people are going to wait anyway. But also because if they tweet it out, then Apple's going to know that okay, we patched whatever they used. So if the developers of the jailbreak keep quiet, maybe the Apple will think that maybe it has been patched or whatever, and Apple won't pay as much attention do it and we still have that jailbreak functionality because no one ever said anything and Apple didn't know it existed or didn't know that the problem or like the exploit I should say still existed. So I do think that it will definitely catch the eye of jailbreakers. They're going to say, well, now we actually have the possibility that this exploit is patched, and so I do like my customization, so I'm going to stay back. So I think that nowadays people that are jailbroken definitely have to be aware. You don't want your phone running auto updates or plugging into iTunes and having an update and you just lose your jailbreak, and that's not acceptable to a whole lot of jailbreakers. Do you think that do you think that if this is patched, do you think how mad do you think people would be if they found out one day that their device was unjailbroken? If if they accidentally got updated to, let's say, 7.1 when it came out and it was patched, do you think they'd be really upset? Is there a lot that they'd be missing?
The only way I think that a particular user will be particularly upset about this particular update would have to be a new jailbreaker. Be only because if I've been jailbreaking phones since the first iPhone has come out, and this is to be expected. With a new version of iOS, there's always the possibility of losing your exploit from the previous version of software version. So this is something that I believe that experienced jailbreakers won't have a problem with. Either they'll just wait a little while and wait to update and see if some of these developers come out with more jailbroken tools to be able to keep their exploit and patch on the new software. But newer users will probably need to, tune into maybe to have it weekly and figure out exactly what these beta softwares and new softwares are going to do to their devices before thinking that they're going to keep their same jailbroken software and everything to re-jailbreak their phone on the newest update. So with that said, hopefully that the margin is pretty small as far as making people upset, because by now people should already know that that's what's going to happen. So, but hopefully, if people just do the research and stay online and figure out what's going on with these updates, most of the time it's posted that these updates will pretty much get rid of your exploit. So as we keep going forward, I'm sure someone else will jailbreak it again. But I'm sure they're getting harder and harder to do,
Oh
especially
yeah.
how long it was in between iOS 6 to iOS 7 to actually have a jailbreak that was successful. So we'll just have to see in the upcoming future and go from there. And hopefully the people who have those betas were well aware of that. And the people who probably were trying it out probably already knew that and didn't rely on a jailbreak. I myself still haven't jailbroken my phone. And actually, at this point, I
Me either.
probably won't. And I just like my phone to run stable. And I'm not saying that when you jailbreak your phone, it runs unstable. Just after you start applying so many tweaks, you start seeing some things kind of slow down in performance. Some things not as snappy as they used to be. And that just depends on the tweaks you're doing. Like if you're just doing basic customization, maybe changing the carrier name, say if you have a Verizon phone and put your own name, say CPU Kid or something at the top, that more likely is not going to slow down the performance of your phone. But changing some of the animation features and speeds and different things that take over the UI and things like that that control different things on your iPhone will more than likely have a performance decrease in your phone over time by adding more and more tweaks to it. So hopefully everything works out and people stay updated and figure out what they're going to do. And if they can afford to wait because they've checked the updates and see that it's pretty much just UI fixes and some bug fixes and things like that, some slight animation changes, they'll stay on iOS 7.0.4 and just do, what they've been doing and stay jailbroken.
Yeah, and I mean, getting back to just the beta 4 itself, kind of putting jailbreaking aside, like you said, there's really no features added. It's really just very small UI things. On this article, I think there was something that there was on the phone dialer at the very bottom. There's like the zero. There's like a little plus sign added to it. It does nothing. There's no functionality added there. It's just there. Little things like that throughout the OS have changed. Like the slide to unlock little menu, I guess I'll say, changed a little bit. They're very small things. So I mean, going back to kind of like what I was talking about earlier, people that maybe their device got accidentally unjailbroken, they might not be too happy because they had a lot of functionality they liked, and now it's being replaced with something that really doesn't add additional functionality. So what do you guys think? Do you guys jailbreak your phones? If you do, would you be okay if your phone got updated? Would you be really upset? Will you stay back for as long as it takes until, say, for example, iOS 7.1 is jailbroken? Not until a year from now. Would you stay behind for a year, or would you eventually just update? Be sure to let us know down there in the comments. Moving on to our next story here. This is about LogMeIn. Now, Dante, I know you've used LogMeIn in the past, right?
Yes.
Okay. And does this bother you that LogMeIn is no longer free? And that's our next story.
Actually, it does. Coming from a person that uses it as much as I do, I have it on my iPad, I have it on my iPhone. It has gotten me out of a few binds actually before. At the place of business that I work, I had an important document that I had on my desktop and I forgot to email my boss about it, so it's just physically sitting there. I had no other way. I didn't have it on a flash drive or anything like that. So luckily I was able to use the LogMeIn client on my iPhone and actually physically go to the document and send it to the email client built into the OS 10, tell it to myself, and was able to get that document. It was, in that particular document was very important for my job because I was getting ready to go out of town for a week, and I needed that document to have my certain things set up with different locations that I was going to be servicing. So yeah, it really got me out of a bind, and honestly, this is one of those things where I really did like the LogMeIn interface and everything that it had with the apps and the way it worked on the iPad and my iPhone. So it does upset me, but it makes sense. I mean, when you have something that's that good and works that well, of course, a developer wants to make some money so they can continue to bring you some better products and updates to that particular application. So, it stinks. I don't really like it, but honestly, I probably will pay for it because I've been using it for free for a long time. I mean, a very long time, and it works. It works very well, and you can't blame the company for wanting to make some revenue on it. Because there's more likely more free users than premium, pro users and things like that. So it makes perfect sense. I mean, one app that we still haven't seen what happened to it, I don't know if you guys have used, was an app called Audio Galaxy. Audio Galaxy was a really, really good app to stream your music over your own network, and you can do this via 3G or 4G LTE or whatever your cellular connection was, and it worked awesome. Well, Dropbox bought them, and I haven't heard a thing since. And it's just one of those things where it was so good that why should it stay free? And maybe that's why the company had to actually, sell to Dropbox. But this thing falls basically in the same category, being logged out, if you don't pay, I think that stinks. I think that if you're going to be on a free version, I think that it should just be really, really dumbed down to basically the bare minimum. And, to take that away from the consumers, I think is a little rough, but honestly, it's really good technology, and I like it a lot. So, do you use this program, Bob?
I have used it in the past, and I have to agree, it's a very nice application. And one thing that LogMeIn has going for it is that, like you said, it's extremely easy to set up. A lot of people, like Mac users are tend. I'll kind of go with the stereotype here. Is for people that don't want to mess with their computer. They just kind of want it to work. And that's exactly what LogMeIn is. I mean, you run the app and it discovers your other computer just, very, very easily. And so at the heart, at its core, all LogMeIn is a VNC client. And so there are some free alternatives, which we're going to get into here. Since LogMeIn is no longer free, even though that me and Dante can both agree, it is worth, I don't really know exactly how much they're going to charge for it right now, but it probably is going to be worth whatever they're going to charge for it because it is a very easy to use and very powerful application. But there are some free alternatives. There's one called TeamViewer, which is cross-platform. Have you ever used TeamViewer before, Dante?
No, I haven't used TeamViewer before, but it was actually my first choice when it came. I actually learned about LogMeIn actually later. I heard about TeamViewer first, and I just actually tried LogMeIn first. But like you said, that's a pretty compatible alternative from what I hear. I don't hear a lot of bad things about it, but only problem I have is you're taking the consumer from the norm of what they normally would use into a different application to accommodate something that your application that you like you use to accommodate. So but I mean, it's still a very good alternative. At least it's not a dead end or a roadblock. If you don't pay, you're just done. At
Yeah.
least there's other programs that you can actually put an application to have on your iPad and your iPhone and whatever your devices are, to be able to log into your home network and into your personal computer to be able to get some files and control some things. I've used it for a bunch of different uses, and mostly it's to start. A lot of time I like to use it for this. It's just real simple. I like to start huge downloads while I'm at work. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'll start a download, and by the time I get home, it's perfect because in between my work day, it was already downloading. But at first, if I didn't remember to do it before I left or something like that, well, you
You
have
have
to
a
sit
wait.
there and let it download. Yeah, for 4 hours or however long, depending on the size of the files that you're downloading. And it works out for me a lot. I mean, there's times where I've had to get gigs and gigs of things and was able to complete the downloads by the time I got home from work, and it worked perfectly because it didn't take up any time of me just sitting there and at home going, well, I can't play this game online or something because the band was going to be horrible or anything like that. So there's a lot of good uses to a LogMeIn type app or a client like this, and TeamViewer I believe will be just as susceptible to be able to accommodate people in that way. And I probably will give it a shot just in case. I'll more likely do it before I pay for LogMeIn, and I'll try it out and see how I like it. And if it does what I want it to do, then I won't pay for LogMeIn.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It all comes down to the functionality. It's kind of, what do I pay for this functionality? If the functionality is very good and it's free, then why would that service if it's you're getting basically the same thing? And TeamViewer is very much like LogMeIn in being that it's cross-platform. They have iOS apps that let you access your computer. That computer could be Mac, it could be Windows, it could be Linux. I mean, pretty much anything with TeamViewer works, and that's something that's really nice about it. There are also a couple other free alternatives. A lot of people might not know this, and this is actually something I used to do all the time back in the day, like on Snow Leopard. Back before what we have now is messages. Messages used to actually be iChat, and with an iChat, this is way back in the day now. I had an
Oh
AIM
yeah.
account, and within iChat, you could actually share screens with people. So that was another way to do it for free too. And so that I actually did that many times. Like my mom has a MacBook, and so I could be here once again back in the day, signed into AIM, and I could control her computer if she was having problems and things like that. So there's also another solution. This is actually something that I personally do. This is kind of the geekier way to go about it, but I like this because TeamViewer, I mean, iChat's kind of built in, but TeamViewer and LogMeIn, those are third-party apps running on top of your operating system. So if you go, with a fresh installation, you have to set up those applications before that application will work. I like to do things native so that I can go to anyone's computer, whether they have this app in, this application installed or not, and still be able to see my machine at home. And the way I did that is actually using roachtechnology.com. Since I own that domain and I pay for the web hosting, which I guess then you could technically say this isn't a free alternative because I do pay for the hosting. What I've actually done is I have a subdomain on Roach Technology, and I'm pointing the DNS of that to my public IP address of my computer. And from there, I can just hit command under OS 10, type in that, and then all of a sudden I can see all my drives. I can remote control or remote into my computer. I have all my displays there perfectly, and it's native to Mac OS 10, which is something that I really, really enjoy. So that's also a way to do it, and I believe it work the same as too. So I could access machine from OS 10 or a OS 10 machine from Windows. And so this is a nice but geekier way to do it. Not everyone wants to go through that. Not everyone has, hosting that they can do that with. So being a free alternative, that's the geekiest one that we have for you. But these are just some free alternatives to LogMeIn, which is no longer free. So if you use LogMeIn, whether it's the iOS version, Android version, whatever it is, be sure to let us know if you like it and if you'd actually be willing to pay for the premium service. What is your, I guess, cap of what you would pay for it? Dante, if you had to put a price on it, what's the
Oh
most
man.
that you think they can get away with charging you?
Honestly, I mean, only because I know this is an application that a lot of people would use. And I mean, you could use it for business use and especially a lot of home and personal use. Honestly, if it goes over 199, I wouldn't do it. And the only reason why I say 199 is because there is a slightly different interface and a little more features on the iPad. So if it was 199 across the way, okay. Any more than that, yeah, you just lost me. I'll go to something different. So.
All right. Be sure to let us know what you guys think. What's your price cap for a service like LogMeIn? Be sure to let us know down in the comments, and hopefully these other alternatives don't become paid as well, like things like TeamViewer. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shift gears right from second to third into our deal of the week. Now, Dante, I have a question for you. How many times have you been on the go when you stay with your phone or whatever and you lost power and you weren't able to use it?
Oh wow. Probably more times than I can actually count. And, normally it's because of bad preparation. There's times, you forget your lightning cable, things like that.
Fall
But with
asleep
this, but yeah, you fall asleep,
without
it,
charging
it
it.
happens. It actually happens more than, you
It
think.
should.
But with the deal of the day that we have today is actually called the pocket size USB power pack, which is actually really, really cool. It's actually 75% off of the regular price of $14.99. And you can get this here at 1p2b.co/deals. And this thing is actually pretty nice. I mean, when you look at it, it actually has a keychain. It's a keychain power pack and comes with one USB charging cable. And it says it can take any small electronic device with a USB or micro USB connection. And this is cool because you can just carry this thing around. It's very small, pocket size, and you're able to basically grab more juice for your phone. And there's some images there that they show how big it actually is. It's probably about the same length as maybe an iPhone 5, maybe a little shorter, but it shows there that you can just hold that thing there and have it charged. If you bring your own lightning connector, with you and be able to do that. I think it'll be really nice, especially when you're out on the go, if you're going to be gone for a long time and can't exactly get to an actual AC power outlet, using your power brick. That would be an awesome way to do that. And, honestly, for $14.99, when the regular price was $60 at 75% off, I think anyone would like that. What do you think you'd use something like this, Bob?
All the time. My iPhone, I wish I could say the battery life was a bit better, but it's just not. And so especially being this small, I mean, it's not something that I have to, have my book bag to carry it or anything like that, or like huge pockets. This thing will fit in any pocket you have, and being very portable, it is very useful. To get into kind of like the geekier part of it, it is a 2600 milliamp hour battery. I don't know exactly how big the iPhone's is, but it says up is right here that you can add up to 10 hours of power, extra hours of power to your device. So that's a pretty decently sized battery. That's probably on par with a lot of the phones nowadays. Maybe even like a bigger Android battery is probably around 2600 milliamp hours. So this is definitely going to be something that I probably will buy because this isn't just for a phone too. I'm not sure of the amperage output. It doesn't say that. So whether it could charge something like an iPad, I'm really not sure. That's something that I wish I'm probably email them and find out. That would definitely be a pretty good deal if it can charge an iPad. But I mean, for $14.99, you really can't go wrong. Something that I would definitely use. So if you have 15 bucks sitting around and you find yourself running out of power and you want to help support the show, then feel free to invest in this very cheap solution to get 10 extra hours of life to your device.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to buy that. I mean, that's a sweet deal. I mean, especially from how much it actually cost. And that's going to be really cool. And just being able to have that portability. And like you said, if it can charge an iPad, that's yet to be seen because it does say phones and tablets, but I don't know if that's actually been specified. So as far as which ones, because the full size iPad, that takes up a lot of power, and also it takes a lot longer to charge. So we'll see. But either way, even if it doesn't charge it all the way, at least it'll get you to a point where you're able to use it.
Yeah.
If you would have used it in your normal use, you would have lost battery and wouldn't be able to use it. And especially something like a phone, if the worst thing is to lose your phone. Think if you're traveling abroad or something like that and you need your phone for GPS directions and you're just using that bandwidth and, sucking life out of your battery for a long period of time, that would be awesome to have. And yes, I mean, most people say, well, then just get a car charger or something. Well, yeah, but what if you don't have one? What if you're in a place what if you're hiking or something like that and it's going a little longer than you expected? Well, you need to use that for directions and to find your way. That'd be nice to have a pocket-sized battery pack for that. But like I said, $14.99 is a steal. p2b.co/deals. That'd be nice. Check it out, everybody, for the Stack Social deal, pocket-sized USB power pack. So.
Sounds good, Dante. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to our next story. This is about MIT's new transparent screen. Now, have you ever heard anything about a transparent screen before today?
I think the Iron Man movies had some transparent screens and Avatar, but before this actual article, actually something that is coming to life and be that concrete, no. And this is actually kind of space age. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, the way we look at screens, we just look at them to, display an image or something like that. It makes perfect sense. But being able to have a transparent screen, the only thing I've seen like that is, like I said, was in movies or in mock-ups or in, just simulation videos or something that makes something real techy, some things that we would love to have, of course, on Tech Habit Weekly or just in our personal use. But the people from MIT have developed a screen that is transparent, and they say that it's actually cheap to produce. Basically, the transparent screens aren't very practical these days. The bigger models are frequently expensive and bulky, which are smaller heads-up displays tend to have very narrow viewing angles. However, the MIT have solved these problems at once with a prototype of its nanoparticle display. This device creates color images on a glass surface simply by tuning a silver nanoparticle coating until it lets only a certain amount of light and wavelengths come through. Now, I've seen this video that's come from the people at MIT, and it's actually pretty nice. Now, they showed that the display, they could only had like certain colors, and this particular color scheme that they had was blue, and it actually looked pretty cool. And yes, it was fully transparent. You can see right through it, and it looks really nice. And it says basically that they can start implementing things that that is so cheap that they could have images show up on a car windshield or something like that for a heads-up display. That way, that wouldn't obstruct your view. Just something that's nice and simple to be able to have, you know, maybe directions or the weather, or, you know, maybe some different type of weather or road conditions that are coming up. But Bob and guys in the who are listening to the podcast here and watching on YouTube, do you guys think you would use something like that? But Bob, what do you think this means for MIT and for the future of LCD and the way we actually display things?
Well, being that this is like the first thing of its kind, like you pointed out, you've seen this in like Iron Man and stuff like that. Unfortunately, that's all, just CG, that's all fake. But knowing that something like this can actually exist, I think this does kind of change the game here. It's not quite like Iron Man where like you could like put your hand through it. It's not like a hologram, but the fact that you can, see through it, that is a pretty big thing. And like you said, this could be awesome, even just in eyeglasses, it's maybe something that's kind of like Google Glass, instead of having to have a little screen where you have to look up, being able to like just be to kind of focus your eyes nearsighted and you actually have like a little display within the glass that's still transparent. Something like that, or even like you said with a car windshield, maybe on like the passenger side of the car or something, you could have like any weather conditions, because I mean all the cars in the future are probably going to be connected to the internet. So I mean you could have like if you're driving on the highway, it could say in 30 miles there's a storm, be careful, and you could actually like, have like raindrops or something. So I think this is the start of a pretty interesting future for all things really made of glass. I think this might even be a phase where we can get maybe like a mirror out of this and have things on the mirror, and so maybe even like a refrigerator, things like that. But so what we're going to actually do now is we're going to show you guys a video of this display in action.
Currently, there are a few different transparent display technologies, and each of them is suitable for a different set of applications. These include organic transparent displays, reflecting displays, as well as fluorescent displays. And what we were trying to achieve is something that's particularly simple to implement and that's fairly cheap and scalable.
So typically, you either project images onto a white piece of wall, which does the purpose because it scatters light, but it is not transparent. Light cannot go through. Or you have a piece of glass where light goes through, but you cannot project any images onto it. So if we can actually project images onto glasses, then it will enable much more opportunities. For example, you can now project onto the window of a store so that it can display information of the products inside, or you can project images onto an office window or on the windows of, say, a subway train.
So the way that we went to implement this is we embedded resonant nanoparticles into a polymer, so you can think of it as a plastic foil. And these nanoparticles are implemented such that they reflect only certain particular colors. In our case, for the one that we demonstrated, it was blue color. So it will strongly reflect that particular color, but all the other colors will go through.
Therefore, our transparent screen is simply a sheet of transparent plastic with some nanoparticles in it. And you can take this sheet of plastic and then put it onto a glass. Then this glass will now still be transparent, but you will be able to project images onto it. For the future, we plan to make the screen even more transparent for the colors that we do not target. And then also we plan to extend this method so that it can display multiple colors, specifically red, green, and blue, so that it will be able to show a full color image. Since this is a relatively simple method and it is really cheap to actually make these plastic foils that display, we can envision that in the future people will just go to convenience stores to buy this piece of plastic, go home and just put it onto their windows or wherever they want to project images, and then they will be able to turn that transparent glass into something that's useful that can display.
All right, there we have it. So what do you guys think of the display? Do you guys think this is something that you would actually use, or do you think maybe it was too small on the scale that they had, or would you like to see more in-depth color, like maybe something of HD quality or something like that? Leave us a comment down in the chat and let us know, what would you guys like to see? Do you think that was enough? Do you think it was too small, or do you think the testing and all the phases of everything that they have for that display is maybe just not there yet? Just leave us a comment down below.
Absolutely. Personally, I think it'll undoubtedly get better. This is kind of an alpha release, and so I mean, with everything, the first smartphone, wasn't just beta 1 an iPhone. I mean, it takes a long time to get, especially something like this, being this complicated to actually, come to about and actually be useful to, like, the end user or the consumer. So, yeah, like Dante said, be sure to let us know down below in the comments what you guys think about this new, I guess, age of, transparent displays. So be sure to let us know what you think. Moving on to our next story here, we're going to be talking about some Amazon, and I don't mean like the crazy jungles. I mean a different kind of crazy jungle, an online one. Amazon, the online company, once again, not a crazy jungle, actually entering the live TV business. Dante, are you a cable cutter? Do you pay for cable?
I do pay for cable, Bob.
Okay. Now, would you think that you would, switch to something like Amazon instead of what you have right now?
It depends on what's available. Matter of fact, I was having this conversation, I believe, last week, where me and a coworker were saying that we wish we could almost pay by the channel, because my current service that I have at home, I have so many channels, but I don't watch or utilize all of them. And something like this, in this particular report, that Amazon wants to consider live TV channels for a new pay TV service, is kind of intriguing, only because more and more people, they're home less, we're very busy, so the things that we want to pay for are exactly what we want to pay for, and something like this would be nice. Now, to get to clear things up, this is not like Apple TV or anything. That's more of a media streaming device, and not like Chromecast, basically the same thing. But this particular thing, they want to actually bring live TV service for a fee. And the report says down here that that the Wall Street Journal reports that access to a third-party streaming apps via a set-top box and original programming aren't the only parts of Amazon's online video strategy. It reportedly wants to get into live TV streaming as well, and the company has already alleged to meet with major content providers in hopes of inking licensing agreements for its new cable-like service. Through the current talks, they're said to be preliminary. Now, basically, I remember a while back we had covered on Tech Havoc Weekly where there was an issue with Time Warner Cable and the CBS network. And these are some of the things that may be up for dispute, depending on how their premium service is going to be brought out to the public. This is something where, just like Netflix, the reason why you can't find all of the movies that you want to find on Netflix is because the studio who owns the movie has to give Netflix the right to be able to stream it, and it costs money, and so it's a big back and forth thing. And same thing as the situation that happened with CBS with their dispute with Time Warner Cable. So this is something that Amazon is going to have to work towards with these different cable providers and different cable channels and companies to figure out what they could actually bring. But hopefully, if they're going to bring something like this, hopefully it's something that's foolproof and ready to be, implemented. And once it starts, it's in a big bang, not, okay, we have 10 channels available, something like that. And also, they said that they're not sure if they're going to actually have something tied in with people's Amazon Prime Video accounts. There was something like that has been in the talks. But with all this said, this is kind of redundant. Amazon has basically declined these accusations that they were coming out with a streaming service. It says down here at the bottom here, Amazon has since responded to our request for a comment and saying that the Wall Street Journal report is untrue and that the company has no plans to license TV channels or build out a new pay TV service. And it says you can read Amazon's official statement below, and it has a statement below. It's pretty short, so I'll go ahead and read it. We continue to build selection for Prime Instant Video and create original original shows at Amazon Studios, but we are not planning to license television channels or offer a pay TV service. So, Bob, with all this said, there was a lot of content, a lot of things, what do you think is really going on here at Amazon? Do you think this is something where some information was leaked and they pretty much jumped a gun so they want to kind of buy themselves some time? Or do you think this is something that's just completely fake? What do you believe about this?
It's hard to say. I mean, something like, the Wall Street Journal not publishing something that's true. I mean, Wall Street Journal tends to be pretty good when it comes to their information. I mean, they're a very big resource for information and news. So them publishing something that's absolutely completely false, I don't know. It doesn't sit with me quite right. I do believe that Amazon has at least considered this. I wouldn't. I mean, it says in the statement that they have no plans to release anything like this, but maybe they don't plan to release it soon. But I can almost guarantee. I mean, like, they do have Prime videos and things like that. I can almost guarantee. I'm very safe in thinking that they've at least tried something like a television service. Amazon, of all companies, has the resources to do it. And in the past on this show, we've actually talked about Apple in a very similar situation where we thought that maybe they were going to bring in an actual Apple TV, like a set. That whole thing, maybe a year or two ago, was a really huge rumor for Apple, and we still have yet to even see a flake of this from Apple. But I mean, this is kind of what people want. It's like you said, that choice of what channels you want to get, rather than paying like $100 or even $200 a month for like all these hundreds of thousands of channels that you don't really watch. You could pay a lot less and get a lot less channels, but just have the ones that you want to watch. That a la carte channel service. And so once again, if there was a company that I think could pull this off, I think Amazon would be first. Amazon is just so huge, and every year they just keep on growing. I mean, they're kind of becoming like a Google, but of like physical items and processes, not just Google Drive or like virtual things. So it's hard for me to say or even think that they haven't considered this. And it could be like these Apple devices, or really any company. They have devices that the public doesn't know about, but they have stuff that they've been testing in the back room for months. And so I think that they have at least tried this. Do you think that they have? I mean, do you think that somewhere on the Amazon campus there's servers set up and things like that for some kind of a TV service?
Honestly, yes, only because, I mean, of the instant video service that they actually provide right now. And with Amazon Studios, I mean, the next step is to bring something premium. I mean, you got to realize the market is widely based towards streaming media nowadays. I mean, matter of fact, me and Terrell were having a conversation before Tech Habit Weekly started about setting up a media server and different streaming options in my own place. And I already have an Apple TV and I love it. It's great, and even doing the FTP thing that you were talking about was an option to be able to do certain things in a similar fashion. And with something like this, to be able to stream exact content that you want, sports channels are huge. Things like that. If you can just pay for particular sports channels that you want and not have to deal with the actual providers, I think you would actually have a better relationship because you don't have to deal with the actual company. It's just streaming service. It's out there. It's good to go. You'll have a lot less headaches and things like that. And then people have a lot faster internet connections nowadays and use their internet for a lot more things, such as streaming services. This is something that Amazon, I believe, needs to take this plunge and be able to do this. I believe these are just documents because, like you said, the Wall Street Journal is a very, very good source. And I feel like these are things that was just the gun was jumped and some information might have leaked out before Amazon wanted to. And they don't want to just look like they're under the microscope and have a bunch of press conferences and different media outlets trying to figure out exactly what's going on. I think they're going to hush things for now and try to, get off the radar for a little while. And then next thing you know, Amazon streaming service, hot on the press from the streets for everybody to have, But yeah, it makes perfect sense, though. I mean, because they need to work out the kinks, they need to work out the bugs. There's a lot of media negotiations. There's a lot of money negotiations. And how are they going to bring this? This is something that's going, like it said, it's going to have a set-top box. To me, this particular article has too much information to not be somewhat true. I'm not going to say it's completely true, but somewhat true, because like the article says, if it's going to have a set-top box, it sounds like it's going to have some sort of a device like a Roku or a Google Chrome or an Apple TV or some sort of thing to plug into your TV to be able to stream this content. Because let's face it, we're all geeks. We all have, different media outlets, and like I said, Apple TVs and MacBooks, and some people even have their personal PCs hooked up to their personal televisions that are maybe in their living room, but not everyone does. So for the people that don't, something like a Sling box or something like that would actually work better for them to sit at home in a typical family situation. Is something for Amazon to implement into their services. I think that's something that they should do. We'll keep, an eye on this and keep figuring out what the speculation is behind this, because this is something that's not going to go away. This is like the next thing. Like you said, Apple doesn't even have a service like this. They don't have an app store for the Apple TV. It's just services that come out, certain channels come out, but it's a little different because you're not exactly paying for anything. A lot of times it's through your cable provider that you're paying for, like the HBO Go and things like that. These are just services that you already have, but just streaming them in a different way. So we'll keep an eye on this and see what happens with Amazon streaming service, but leave us a comment below. Would you guys like to see Amazon have this service? Do you use streaming services at your home, such as, maybe a file transfer protocol or some sort of, media streaming outlet, Apple TV, Sling box, something like that? And this is something that you guys are looking forward to. Leave us a comment below.
Yep, I for one would absolutely love to see it. It's to be seen what they would charge for something like this, but Amazon being as big as it is, I'm sure they would figure out a pretty sweet spot. And so moving on, we're going to actually kind of stay on this theme of, this new age, I guess, like streaming, this new age way of using the internet to get your media. There's actually a Beats Music. This is a service that launched on iOS, Android, and via the web. Dante, what exactly is the Beats Music? And is there any kind of, application or anything else that it competes with?
Basically, if any of you on the podcast that are listening or users at home have ever used Spotify or Audio or something like that, it's something like that. It's more of a streaming music application where you can basically take music from the internet, almost like, I don't want to say like iTunes Radio, but in a similar fashion to where you're streaming this music over the internet and you can play. I know a lot of people back before some of these services were available would just get on YouTube and just type in one of their songs and let it play.
Yep.
Well, the good thing is you can listen to your music. Bad thing is you don't necessarily need it to be tied to a video. So with this service, you can just stream audio over the internet and be able to bring it to yourself. And I'm actually a Spotify user myself, and so is Terrell. And I love Spotify, and if this competes with it, I need to know what features are going to make it better than Spotify. And I've used Audio, and I didn't quite like the interface too much, but Spotify is pretty much my go-to streaming service when it comes to music. And Terrell actually pays for it monthly. He likes it so much. But some of the report here says at the same that based on a quick scan of Beats Music on both iOS and desktop browsers, the new app is visually stunning and packed with music to the point of almost becoming overwhelming. True to its promise, Beats drops you into the already curated music library. When you download the app, you will be asked to pick and choose your favorite artists and genres and enter a bit of personal information, including your age and gender. And once the app boots, you're immediately served with a wealth of playlists curated by the people and publications based on your own musical taste. Now, that's pretty cool because, you can basically go through like a little simple tutorial to kind of get some information about yourself. And then you can find things about you like, hey, if you like this song, you might like that song, or users who saw this, who streamed this, were streaming this, so that's pretty cool because it keeps a social media aspect to it as well. And
discovery.
Right. And it says after you can get a 7-day trial to try this out. And it says after your 7-day trial is over, Beats Music will cost $9.99 per month, which is a very competitive price because that's how much Spotify costs to stream it all the time through your iPhone and things like that. And like I said, Terrell pays for it and he loves it, and it's awesome. I mean, you can be able to use these things, via Bluetooth and things like that. Like I can use Pandora via Bluetooth through my car's head unit, and it's just more portable and things like that. And it says the company is also working with AT&T, in which they will add a service to your monthly cellular bill and even offer 3 months of free music if you're already subscribed to the carrier, which is awesome because I'm an AT&T carrier. And if you can just bill my AT&T bill instead of me having a separate bill a month, I'd throw that in there. That's perfect. Do you think you would use something like this, Bob, or do you already use a service like Spotify or Audio, or maybe you're just kind of an iTunes Music type guy?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, iTunes Radio.
I'm actually kind of more of like an iTunes Radio kind of a person. I really like, my metal, my rock, things like that. And for, what it is, iTunes Radio being 100% free, I actually like it a whole lot. It's very similar to things like Pandora and Beats. And so really, I have no need to pay $10 a month for a streaming service. It is nice because it does have that discoverability. Spotify will give you like, what other people are listening to. And even now this new Beats service, all those different playlists that it generates and everything, that's really cool. Something that I'm really curious about for the future of this, I know this just came out, but it makes me wonder if there's enough room in the market for all these different, audio streaming services. Because at the end of the day, you're streaming audio, you're streaming songs, and so there has to be something very distinctive that sets all of these things apart. So I'm wondering if maybe in the coming months, maybe someone like Spotify will actually propose to buy Beats. I mean, all these, that seems to be a trend now. Apple buying this company or this company buying this smaller company to integrate that functionality into its product. I think that something like that it could happen in the foreseeable future. And like I said, that's the only reason I think that is because I think there's just a limit to how many of these different kinds of applications that do at the end of the day kind of the same thing. I think there's a limit to how many there can be at one time. Spotify, RDO, Pandora has a paid subscription, iTunes Radio, which is free. It makes me wonder if there's a room for something like Beats. It would have to really stand out, I think. And so, do you think that there's a possibility of that? It maybe not even necessarily Beats Radio, but could Spotify maybe one day want to buy RDO or maybe want to buy Beats even? What do you think?
Definitely. I mean, honestly, it's back to the old saying, if you can't beat them, join them, and we've seen some of the biggest competition in the world buy out the competition. And it simply goes down to this: numbers, supply, and demand. If everyone has the same exact service, you have to implement things that are going to be better than the next guy. A price point helps, features helps, different platforms help. But when pretty much you're competing against people who, aren't afraid to take a cut on price and, let it go for free, like you said, iTunes Radio, it's kind of hard to compete with something that doesn't cost anything. But with RDO and Spotify and things like that, Beats is a huge company. The company monster is huge, and I could see them buying out maybe some of the smaller competition, maybe RDO, and maybe taking some of their architecture, some of the things that they may not have on Beats, and incorporate that with their service, or vice versa. I don't really see it going the other way. I don't see RDO buying Beats or anything like that. It's just too huge. I mean, they have a lot of peripherals that people are buying, headphones and things like that, and different cables. But when you go with this architecture, you have to figure out, like I said, the supply and demand. Is this such a huge deal right now? I think right now, probably not so much. In the foreseeable future, probably. But they have to be smart when doing this, because $9.99 a month is kind of steep to me, But like I said, if I'm able to incorporate that, and if that's something that I wanted that badly, because I use Spotify, I use it for free on my Mac. I have no problem with it. It does cost to use the iOS app, and I haven't paid for it, because I can come home, load up Spotify, and clean house or rearrange my desk and set up my triple monitors and whatever else, and do that in peace, and it's just fine. But to offer that price point for me right now, I'm just not there. But there's a lot of users, like I said, Terrell uses it, so he's there. He's at that point. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think $9.99 is too steep for a streaming music service? Do you think that this is just a fad and will probably die out sometime soon? Or do you think that one of the companies will buy the other one out to try to be the premium streaming music service at a premium price? Let us know in the chat and in the comments down below here on this podcast. Let us know.
Absolutely. I think that'd be killer if one of these companies could buy the other and say, hey, we'll charge $4.99 or $5.99 instead of $9.99. So we'd have kind of like the features of two different services under one roof and at half the price of the competition. I think that would just make for a killer app. I think you'd see a lot of people say, well, it's not free. It's also not $10, and it has, feature X, Y, and Z. Hey, I'll give it a shot, even if it's just for 1 month. If I don't like it, that's only $5 out of my checkbook. So be sure to let us know what you guys think down below in the comments. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to a next story. This is about Google and YouTube. Now, Google has launched a video quality report to test ISP performance. Now, this is the kicker, based on YouTube playback. So basically what this is going to do is Google is going to test your ISP, where they're going to start playing, 720p videos. And if your internet connection is able to load 90% of what they play without, buffering issues or anything like that, it's going to give your ISP a YouTube HD verified badge. Now, Dante, what good do you think that this will do?
Oh, well, basically, I mean, it's kind of like any company. Any company that has something like, say, I don't know, a soft drink or something like that, just kind of like a quality control issue that you want to know that, are you delivering the best product and, to your consumers? And this is no different. Basically, it's a report that basically shows how much streaming video over YouTube is being streamed in a certain amount of quality. And on the report here, it says Google today announced a new project designed to test the quality and connection speeds of internet service providers, and the service known as Google's Video Quality Report will be available in Canada first, though it should be expanded to more countries as time progresses. It says to perform the test, Google uses data related to tell how ISPs can handle playing back a high-definition YouTube video. And it says ISPs are graded based on the performance of other providers in a given area. And the ISP is able to, if the ISP is able to load 90% of 720p related YouTube videos, then it will be branded as a YouTube HD verified. And it says for that area and be at the top of the verification scale, which is cool because, there's certain services that are out there, maybe some cheaper service providers, maybe people who are running on like 6 megabits per second or something like that. They may have a harder time, connecting different, devices, laptops, and you got somebody on YouTube and Netflix and things at the same time to be able to get this bandwidth. So being able to see some of the reports that are coming from the service providers, I think is nice because then it makes a difference on, say, if you want to go with, I don't know, Time Warner Cable or Google Fiber. Well, we know the difference between Time Warner Cable and the Google Fiber is, it's night and day. But it does give you something to look at on a more local scale, because what if you're going to, like, say the service I have here is AT&T UVerse versus Time Warner Cable or Xfinity or, some of those different packages that are offered by different cable providers. And if you can see the actual scale of most users that are on YouTube displaying a 720p video and trying to be verified as YouTube HD, verified, and if it goes below the scale and you're a person that, like me, I watch a ton of podcasts. Guess what? Yeah. Almost 90% of the time, I turn my, I click the gear to make the quality better. And usually if I can display it in 1080p, that's the way I want to look at it. I always want to look at my videos in the best quality possible. Hence why I have a 1080p web camera that I'm using now, and it wasn't cheap, but I like quality. So it gives people at least a range to be able to go through and say, ooh, Time Warner Cable only hit 720p 30% of the time, but, AT&T UVerse hits it, 95% of the time, at a certain bandwidth. And that may make you want to say, hey, I'm almost up on my contract and I have time to be able to switch from one company to the other. I feel like I haven't been getting the quality control like I would like. I'm going to jump ship and go over to AT&T. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a nice thing that Google's doing. I'm glad that they're coming out with a report like this, because you may see some shifts and some changes in between internet service providers in the coming future once this hits every area and it's displayable in real-time format to see exactly what's going on a real life scale basis.
Yeah, this is going to be something great. I mean, if you're planning to move, you could look at something like this, say, okay, in this area, you could look at this and say, I was really considering Time Warner Cable, and then I see that, maybe this other ISP is a little bit better. And really, it depends on your use case. I mean, if you're not the type of person that goes on YouTube a lot and watches, 720p videos, then maybe this won't really matter to you. And, you probably don't need a super internet connection anyway. But for people like me and you, I mean, I'm a content creator on YouTube. I'm on YouTube constantly throughout the day, whether it's, maybe finding a song really quick or, watching some kind of a tech video. I love unboxing videos, things like that. I'm like you, Dante. I click that little gear and I always put it up to the max that video offers. And so even like 4K, there's people that are coming out now, like Unbox Therapy, for example. He has 4K. If I found out my ISP comes 720p, I wouldn't be very happy, and that would definitely influence my buying decision of which ISP I go with. So a tool like this is going to be really nice. You can kind of get some leverage against your ISP. You can say, hey, maybe if my service was a little bit better, could I get, maybe you guys should reimburse me a little bit because I can't even load this video, things like that. But being affecting my buying decision if I'm moving somewhere is probably the biggest use case I could come up with for, for something like this. And so personally, I have Time Warner cable. I currently have a 30 meg down and 5 meg up connection, and Time Warner cable is actually pretty good with YouTube. I really rarely have issues, and when I do, I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube's end. What do you think that your ISP would rate on this scale?
My ISP, I think, would rate at least in the 90% area because, like you said, I don't have a problem at all playing YouTube videos. And coming from a person whose personal setup, like yourself, we have three 1080p displays set up, and seeing things in the highest quality possible is a must for us. And honestly, I would have I would have snatched the cable out right out of the wall by now if I wasn't being able to display in the highest quality all the time. And like you said, with Time Warner cable in your area, you actually have a faster connection than I do, and I'm getting 18 megabits down, and it runs pretty good on that. I really don't have any buffering issues, at least where I am. It runs really, really cool and really fast. And but if there was a problem, I would definitely switch because, being, a quote unquote YouTuber and a tech guy, we have to have these certain things. I mean, we're using streaming services. What worst thing would it be to watch YouTube and just have it buffer every 15 seconds? It would be terrible. So I think my
watching
would rate pretty well on this scale. But you guys in the comments, let us know. I mean, are you curious to wonder what your ISP would actually rate on the Google scale? If so, leave us a comment down below. And, if you're going to switch over to maybe Google Fiber or something to accommodate the speed changes and up speeds and things that you do not have currently, let us know, because I'm one of those guys. As soon as it's available in my area, it's not too far from here, but it's just far enough out of my range. But as soon as I get it, guaranteed there'll be bragging rights all over Twitter. So leave us a comment.
By the way,
if you guys are
I hate you for being so close to fiber.
Well, it makes me that much better. No.
Exactly. Yes, you're up here and I'm still down here.
Yeah. Your speed kills me right now, so I'm jealous now.
Yeah, for now. Until you're getting like 900 down.
Right. I can't wait.
So yeah, be sure to let us know what you guys think down below in the comments regarding YouTube/Google's new ISP rating system. Now onto our next story. This is some Mac news. Mac Mini with a Haswell processor is due at next month, so February, suggested by a retail listing. This isn't actually officially anything from Apple, but as you can see, Dontae here, Dontae's pretty psyched about this. Why would that be, sir?
Oh, well, because before I bought my Mac Pro current setup, I owned a 2012 Mac Mini. I had the Core i7 version of the Mac Mini. I upgraded it to 16 gigs of RAM, and I was booting off 120 gig solid state drive and kept the original terabyte drive, 2.5-inch drive that comes with, and moved it to the bottom with what is called a data doubler from OWC. And I loved it. It was nice. It was compact. It was portable. I was able to take it just, in 2 or 3 cables, and the thing was completely unhooked. And I've taken it over to Rail's house plenty of times, just in 5 minutes. Be a little different with the Mac Pro. I have a lot of things set up, like I said, 3 monitors and things. I was very, very impressed with the performance of the 2012 Mac Mini. Even being able to play games at a very good frame rate using the Graphics 4000 as embedded on the chip. And something like this is something we've been missing for a long time. I've always, talked to Terrell about this. I'm like, where is the new Mac Mini? Is there a new redesign coming? Is there something, at least a processor upgrade or something, and it already has USB 3.0 on the 2012 version and the lightning fast Core i7 with the Ivy Bridge processor. I was just wanting something updated, and I haven't heard anything about it. So I wasn't sure if they had just canned that line completely or what. Now, I know it's completely different now that I have a Mac Pro. I mean, I probably wouldn't go back to a Mac Mini, but I highly suggest people who are new to OS 10 and want to get some feel of how a Mac runs is, number one, build a Hackintosh. Number two, if you're not that tech savvy and you just want to try it out, definitely invest into a Mac Mini, because the starting price is like $599 to get an entry-level Mac Mini with a Core i5 processor. And that's as of right now. But with the Mac Mini with the Haswell processor due out next month, according to this particular report, is awesome, because it's been almost 2 years since we've heard anything about it, and that's a long time. It's like the same thing. I've got the same issue with the Apple TV 3 right now, and because I need another Apple TV, but I don't want to buy one, and then they come out with one for 4K, just supporting 802.11 AC and things like that. And this is going to be awesome because it says either way that the site says that Apple's new Mac Mini will have the aluminum housing, integrated graphics, new Haswell processor will already discussed, have OS 10 Mavericks out of the box and 802.11ac Wi-Fi and USB 3.0 and expandable memory. The retailer suggests that Apple's new Mac Mini will launch at the end of next month, which is awesome because, like I said, I've upgraded it. I've had the thing completely torn apart where it was just literally the aluminum shell. And by the time I put the data doubler in my SSD, and that thing was awesome. I was very, very surprised at how good the thing ran. And, having USB 3.0, which I don't currently have on the Mac Pro, isn't a huge deal. But when you actually transfer huge files with that architecture, it's completely different from USB 2.0. And this is something I'm happy about because honestly, I would honestly purchase one of these just to, make a little server out of or something. And
Yep.
I think, like I said, to be able to have portability, space management, and things like this is awesome. I really like the Mac Mini, and I'm glad that Apple has kept this thing around, and I'm glad to hear something about it because I thought it was canned. What do you think? I mean, are you excited for the Mac Mini? I know you are the, king Hackintosh guy, but, with having some actual legit Apple hardware and being entry-level price, because think about it, if you don't want to haggle prices on, building a Hackintosh from scratch, and assuming you do have a keyboard, a mouse, and a monitor, because these things do not come with that. It's literally just a Mac Mini and a power cord. So, and maybe a HDMI to DVI adapter. But other than that, that's what it is right out of the box. Do you think this is something that you would incorporate, or if not, would you recommend this for someone who wants to be an entry-level Mac user for the first time?
It really depends on my use case. I mean, like you said, if I was looking for, some kind of like a server or something like that, a Mac Mini would definitely be in that running. I would greatly consider it. Not even just for, the performance, but also, like you said, because it has that Apple design. It's this neat little, just, maybe a box like this thick, something like this, just kind of sitting on a desk with an Apple logo on it. It looks nice. And so, I mean, you could probably build a Hackintosh for less. I mean, but even for what it has, that starting price really isn't that bad. Even if you're going to build, a Hackintosh, might be able to get like a little bit of a spec bump on the Hackintosh side. But then again, if you're a person that really wants that Apple design, then I'd say you're probably about even. Where the Hackintosh really shines in price isn't really the very high end, and it's not really the very low end. It's kind of in that middle amateur stage. That's where you'll see the biggest price difference from what Apple offers. So, I mean, the Mac Mini, especially now that it has these Haswell processors, which, by the way, I agree with you. It's been a while since we've heard anything about the Mac Pro, and Haswell's been out for months now. And before we know it, it's going to be a year. I mean, so I am definitely glad to see that Apple made the jump to Haswell. It doesn't bring tremendous performance increases over what Ivy Bridge did, but it's going to run a little bit more efficient. Things will be a little bit faster, clock for clock, things like that. So it's good to see it refreshed, even if it's not, like you say, a whole redesign of the product or anything. I would definitely recommend this. I can't say that I would absolutely buy one. I would definitely consider it. But like you say, I'm a Hackintosh guy, so it's hard for me to say that I would just absolutely buy it, no questions asked. But if say my mom or one of my good friends who isn't so much into building their own computers, if they're looking for a computer that with these specs, I would absolutely recommend a Mac Mini. Like you were very pleased with the performance of yours. I've played with them in the Apple Store, and like you say, for what they are, they do an absolutely awesome job. Especially if you are on the geekier side of things, you can really go in there, put that data doubler in, RAID 0 up some SSDs, upgrade the RAM, all those geeky things, and so that makes it a really nice computer. Even sitting right here, I don't want to move the camera and make you sick, but I do have a little Hackintosh up here. It's a little Core i3 Haswell chip. It's a 8 gigs of RAM. Right now it has 2 graphics cards in it, but that's just for experimentation. But even with the HD 4600 graphics, which is probably what the new Mac Mini is going to have, is the HD 4600, at least at the i5 level. The integrated graphics do pack some pretty good performance, and this machine has impressed the crap out of me. This is a really nice machine, so I could see Apple, the actual Mac might even be optimized a little bit more and squeeze out more performance that i5. So, like you said, I would definitely recommend a Mac Mini to close friends, family, especially now that it's finally here being updated. And once again, this isn't official. This is just a suggestion from a retail listing, based on inventory levels dropping, things like that. That's typically what happens when right before an Apple product is updated. You'll see the current stock really drop down, and then they'll just ship the new one and discontinue the old one. So be sure to let us know what you guys think down below in the comments. Would you consider maybe buying this Mac Mini instead of building a Hackintosh with similar specs? Or, you know, would you get this no doubt? Would you still stick with the Hackintosh? Whatever it is, be sure to let us know down below. You know where, in the comments. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to our last story of the day. And that is, does T-Mobile, get this, want to be your bank? Now, as we know, T-Mobile is a cell carrier, and so T-Mobile is offering a branded debit card. Dontae, why would T-Mobile, of all people, of all companies, do this?
Let me just lay everything out flat for you guys. T-Mobile is doing this because they have no other way to make money. T-Mobile wants to be your big brother, big sister, wants to take your sister out on a date. It doesn't matter. T-Mobile is actually struggling right now. This is something that I'm not sure would be a good idea, only because it is so new. I've never heard of anything like this. You know, I trust banks with my money. You know, a cell phone carrier that is looking for buyers all the time and wants to sell. Not so much. But basically, that's just my rhetoric and my opinion. So you guys don't have to value it. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. But let's go into the report. Starting today, T-Mobile is more than just a carrier. It's also a bank, sort of. It says the company unveiled its latest program called Mobile Money, which combines a prepaid Visa card, a no-fee checking account, and a new app for iOS, Android in a bid to end pesky banking fees once and for all. It says here that Mobile Money offers free ATM withdrawals at 42,000 in-network ATMs. You can also deposit check into your T-Mobile account without paying a fee with the new app and add money to your card via direct deposit or with a straight cash at your local T-Mobile store. The new service also promises freedom from many of the rules that come standard with most checking accounts, including maintenance fees, minimum balances, activation fees, and slow 4G LTE speeds. No, I'm sorry, it didn't have that. But anyway, with this, you know, T-Mobile, I think, is striving. I think T-Mobile is trying to do whatever they can. You know, next thing you know, T-Mobile is going to be signed up with Miley Cyrus on her next tour to bring out Wrecking Ball version 2 live, you know, or have her album stream, you know, for free or something with Samsung Galaxy S10 with the eyelash and pinky toe unlock. And it's
tongue unlock.
There you go. And to me, this is not cool. This is nothing. This is nothing that hasn't been done before, as far as, you know, people that are actually secured, like with PayPal and with different banks. But something coming from that's primarily a cell phone company raises my eyebrows this way and that way. And I don't like this at all, only because it doesn't seem like this is anything new. It's only new because it's a cell phone carrier trying to implement this. And of course, they're going to let you pay your, you know, T-Mobile bill and be able to deposit money at the T-Mobile stores. You got to realize, when I go to the T-Mobile store or my cell phone carrier, I'm dealing with cell phone. I'm not going and discussing why I'm negative, you know, $3,000 for my purchase on a 2013 Mac Pro. You know, that's my personal business. Stay out of it. Don't judge me. Anyway, with this report here, I just think that it's not going to do anything. I mean, you know, I think that would be really weird to have, hey, dude, just, you know, give me a second, man. Take me over to T-Mobile store, dude. I got to get some money out, you know, for the party tonight. It doesn't make any sense. And then you got to realize what time these stores close. You know, it's still a local store. You know, I guess they sort of kind of have bank hours. But I think that what's going to actually drive people to do this is people who are afraid of banks. And I don't think they need that type of customer, because honestly, what's more secure than a bank? You know, I think that, you know, doing this and having this thing work at ATMs, it's awesome, I guess. But guess what? I have a PayPal debit card that works just the same way. And it's awesome. I can upload, you know, and it's more secure, I think. And it's through a trusted, you know, provider who deals with money transactions, not a cell phone company.
Primarily.
Yeah, primarily, you know, because honestly, if the tides will turn, I feel the same way. PayPal Mobile, get your new mobile device from PayPal. I'm like, nah, I'm good. You know, Verizon, T-Mobile, cool. PayPal, probably not. This service, I think, is crap. You let me know, guys, down in the comments. If you guys think you want to trust your money with a failing cell phone company, let me know. And if you're going to make that, just send it to me and I'll spend it myself, you know. So it's just one of those things, Bob. And you know, when I read that article, it kind of struck a nerve with me, because this is, to me, this is useless. It's useless.
Yes,
because it's not really a form of technology. This happens all the time. People have these. There's prepaid Visa cards. There's cards without annual fees and things like that. And that's the thing that draws you in. But like I said, to trust my money with a cell phone company like that, who I can halfway get a cell phone signal with, I personally didn't have problems with T-Mobile. To set the record straight, when I had T-Mobile, I didn't personally have problems, but I know of now so many people that I know have problems with T-Mobile. And just think if those problems, the same thing as dropping a call or not being able to get text messages, happens when you go to that ATM and you have money there but can't get it out, for some network error on their server end. I don't think it's compatible. I don't think it's good enough for that. And I'm sorry for going on this rant and going off, but T-Mobile, I got some words for you guys, and there's going to be a nasty email coming in the form of the Casey Nightmare straight to you guys. Next episode of Tech Happen Weekly, we're going to show you guys that I actually go live to a T-Mobile store and personally slap an assistant for even trying to think about offering this program to me. We'll see that next week.
We'll be following you with a helicopter, sir.
Yes.
But I completely agree. I mean, this is just kind of like a call for money, a call for attention. This, like you said, this isn't forwarding the human race of anything that they haven't had already. So this is doing really no good. And I think that this is probably one of T-Mobile's last-ditch efforts to try to, get people locked into whatever service they're offering. Personally, what I think is going to happen is right now this is all, debit based, which means, checking account, savings account, that's pretty much it. And they boast right now, oh, there's, low fees. You don't have the fees that other banks have, whatever, until probably a year from now, if they're still around. All of a sudden, they're probably going to start offering credit cards too. And now credit cards are totally different because you get charged interest on credit cards. And right now they're probably going to say, oh yeah, the fees are real low. But because they're going to try to lock you in. So, you'll be locked in with your checking account, whatever have you. Then they're going to get an email from T-Mobile one day and say, yeah, you already have a debit account. You already have a phone plan with us. So why not go for a credit card? And they'll send you that application in the mail. You'll fill it out, you'll get accepted, and then you'll have like 40% interest, and then you'll buy something like a new $3,000 Mac Pro, or you'll invest in Miley Cyrus's half-eaten cupcake on eBay or something that sells for like $1 million, and then all of a sudden you have this really, yeah, you're still bidding on it. I mean, it's in your future, obviously. You'll probably eat the rest.
I haven't been outbid yet, so we'll see.
Exactly, but so then I could see this happening. Them taking that jump to credit, because everyone's offering credit cards nowadays. Literally, I opened a letter I got in the mail today, and it was a gas station offering me a credit card. I mean, that's just where everyone's going, because these companies know that people, they buy a lot of things, not planned on. People buy things like no one's business, and you probably shouldn't have bought that. Then all of a sudden you can't pay your balance, and then you get charged interest, and it's a way for them to make money. And so I could see T-Mobile doing something like this, taking that next step to credit, and then putting a really beefy interest rate on it, and then all of a sudden they start making money left and right. So be sure to let us know what you guys think down below. Personally, both me and Dontae
no,
think that
there's
really for this to exist at all.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather listen to Miley Cyrus.
I can say no in a lot of ways, languages, baby talk. No way, no. Sorry, it's just not going to work. I mean, come on now. Just now think about this. Now I'm going to leave you guys with just this on this article, and I'm done. What if the balance in your T-Mobile debit card account is, say, negative? Will they now have the power to maybe cut some money or cut some service out of your phone plan? Say, hey, we've been noticing that you guys have been, that you're, negative $5 in your account, and we're actually gonna, pull your service. You can only receive calls and not dial out. And you're like, no, I must have it. I've got to call. I can't weekly. It's going to happen tonight. We must do it now. And and you're talking to them, and you're trying to, go through some steps to figure it out. I think they would actually bully you, with that, because there's more things that are tied to you instead of just the phone plan, because, there's people that are late on their phone bills and things like that, but that seems like more leverage for them to pull the cord on you. And I'm just saying, just think about that. If you guys think that that would be a strategy that they would use, because I personally think so. I mean, if you have two services and, you're negative on one side, but you're okay, well, to squeeze you on the other end, you yank the other service. And, it makes perfect sense, and now they're going, oh, yeah, Bob, I tried to call you the other day. You have no money. Your money is negative. I tried to tell you now you're going to have no talkie-talkie on your phone. So whatever they're going to do, I think they have more leverage and more things to hurt you with. I think it's a terrible idea, and I'm done. Matter of fact, I'm taking this out of my document right now because it's ridiculous. It's taking up too much space on my gorgeous 1080p displays on my 12-core Mac Pro. Just saying.
Too much processing power just to display it on one of your displays.
It's ridiculous. So I'll leave you guys with that. Just think about it. It's more leverage for them as a company to make more money off of you, the consumer, with, like you said, higher interest rates, being able to pull you. I mean, and like I said, what if someone just uses that as like a second account and you don't really keep a lot of money in there? You're just like, whatever. And then next thing you know, oh, crap, I'm negative. And then, like I said, they start messing with your phone plan. I mean, that's going to cause more issues than it's going to actually help people, because if you want something secure, get a real bank, get PayPal debit card or something like that, or use a PayPal. I use it all the time. I use it so much. I actually have this PayPal like scanner deal when some people come over and they have credit cards and they want to get services from me for, virus repair and laptops and desktop builds and whatnot. And they have a credit card. I'm like, hey, put in here. And they always do it. They never question it because PayPal is a well-known source of doing this. And I have a PayPal card. I show them, hey, my name's on this, business debit card. You slide it here. You get an itinerary. I can email it to you. Get a receipt. You sign it. Good to go. They're not offering anything like that. Just, ATM, service and 42,000 ATMs. I don't care if it was 42 million. I don't care if they were giving me a free Samsung Galaxy S10. It doesn't matter. That is unsecure, and I will not do that. I mean, just saying. But that's it.
It's so 1998. Yes, we feel very strongly about this subject, as you guys can see. So,
no service for you.
Exactly. So be sure to let us know what you think down below in the comments. Do you think this is as ridiculous as we do? Once again, no more. No more on this topic. It's not worth the breath. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to repair the damage with some tech treats. So Dontae, well, first off, before I get started with that, if this is the first time watching the show, every episode we end our show. That's the last of our tech news and stories that we like to discuss. But at the end of the show, we like to give you a nice little something that has to do with technology, whether it's hardware or software or a service, thing like that, something that helped us get through the last week or something, and we bring it and tell you guys about it. And so makes your life that much better, especially after a story like that. So Dontae, go ahead and kick us off with your tech treat.
All right. My tech treat actually is an iOS app in the App Store, and it's actually called Slow Pro. This week, I found out that not everyone is as awesome as myself, Terrell, and Bob. And there was a person who didn't have an iPhone 5S, and he really liked the slow motion capture feature with 120 frames per second. Well, this particular app actually brings that feature to you. And I actually personally have this app because I wanted to really try it out, and it was cool. Like, it actually works really nice, and it's a very small app, something like 5 megabytes, and you actually just hold down the red center button, like if you're going to record whatever you're going to record, and once you're done, it works very fine, and to be able to put that on like an iPhone 4S or something that doesn't have the architecture like what our 64-bit processor that enables us to be able to render and slow the time down at that 120 frames per second is really, really nice, and it works just fine. And I don't know if it works really good because I'm using it on the actual iPhone 5S that has that architecture already, but it's a very good app, because if there's people out there that want to make these videos and be able to use that architecture on their actual mobile devices, but if they don't have the iPhone 5S, well, they can't. And it says here by Sand Mountain Studios, it says that it actually can do 1,000 frames per second, per second, slow motion video capture support, and it's nice. It is really, really nice, and if you want to use this, I think this is something that you can find if you do not have an iPhone 5S. And like I said, very cool, tweak to actually have on your phone as an app. Works just fine. Slow Pro. And matter of fact, I think it's free right now in the App Store. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it's actually pretty expensive if you have to pay for it. I think it's like $3.99 or something like that if you have to pay for it. But I believe right now it's actually free in the App Store. So for those of you who do not have an iPhone 5S and want to use that feature and just to try it out, why not try it while it's free and get it in your, iCloud account because it'll stay free. So even if you just take it off and want to use it later, hey, it's a good deal, you know. And honestly,
You have it.
90% of the time, that's why I download them. I love tweaks. I love, different apps and different things like that. I even try out different camera apps just to see what kind of exposure and things I can get. And I have a very good camera in this iPhone 5S, and it's just certain things that you just want to see, what these different developers can actually do. And I think this is a very stable build by Sand Mountain Studios for Slow Pro. So try it out, SLOPRO, for 1,000 frames per second slow motion video capture.
That sounds like a really nice app, and especially if it's free, there's really no excuse not to at least
Yeah.
try it. Or like you say, get it in your iTunes purchase history, and so you can just always download it to whatever device for absolutely free. Be sure to go ahead and do that. Sounds like a really cool app. I definitely have to check out that 1,000 frames per second. And I
Yeah.
really do wonder if, on the 4S or even the 5, if that processor will actually be able to keep up with that 1,000 frames per second, because that's a whole lot of
And that's yet
information.
and that's yet to be seen. You know what? And unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to try it on a 4 or 4S. I was able to try it on an iPhone 5 that my coworker had, and it ran just fine. But anything below, I'm not sure. But if you guys are going to try this app, if anyone has an iPhone 4 or 4S or something, try to, leave us a comment, let us know how it performs, and see what happens from there. But I think it's pretty cool. So, but Bob, what tech tree do you have for us today?
Now, the tech treat I have is actually something that we have talked about on the show before. I actually used a very similar application to this as my previous tech treat maybe 5 to 10 episodes ago. And the app I had before was called Deliveries. Now, I know Dante and Terrell both use the Deliveries app. It's a way that you can, say, for example, be on your iPhone, and you'll get an email that has a tracking number in it, so you can just copy it. Then you open up the Deliveries app, and then it'll say, "Oh, you have a tracking number on your clipboard. Would you like to create this shipment, in the application, so you can track your package?" Okay, sure. So then you add it, and then you'll get push notifications as to where your package is, when it's been delivered, and things like that. Now that's a great application. I absolutely loved it. And the only thing that I felt that was missing from it was OS 10 support. I wanted it to be able to have an OS 10 application that would sync to my mobile device. I want to be able to add tracking numbers from emails on my desktop, have a desktop client where I can always have it up, where the status of all my packages, and then also, go to my phone and check, hey, was that package delivered yet? And have the two sync. And that's exactly what today's application does. This application is called Parcel, and it does have a iOS and a Mac OS version of the app. And the app itself is absolutely free. There's a free version. However, I do pay, there's a subscription service where I think it's like $2 for an entire year. And that lets you, honestly, I'm not exactly sure what it gives you. I used to know, but I remember when I did it, it was absolutely worth it to pay that. It's a very small fee. And I think what it does is it lets you have unlimited shipments. I think the free version caps you 3. So yeah, simultaneously, of course. So like, say for example, whenever I do like client builds, typically whenever you order something from Newegg or something, they don't ship it all in one box. There's multiple shipments, therefore multiple tracking numbers. And so being able to have say maybe 5 shipments from Newegg or something, and then maybe I have something else coming from Amazon, I can have all that information right there on my desktop. When I'm at home on my computer, I can have it on the go on my MacBook. I can have it on my phone as well, and it's always in sync. So overall, I think it's a really good application, and you can try it out for absolutely free right now from the Mac App Store and the iOS App Store. And so this is very much like Dante's Tech Treat. I believe that there's really no reason to not at least try it if you're a person that finds yourself, getting a lot of packages. So that's my tech treat, and I definitely think that if you order anything online, it's worth trying out.
Definitely. And like you said, and I like the Deliveries app so much now because I can actually get, like you said, the notifications and actually have cloud backup with it. And it's pretty slick. I mean, but your tech treat looks very, very solid. And like you said, if you're a person that gets a lot of deliveries like myself, matter of fact, 3 items came in for me today. And it's almost like me and the UPS guy are on first name basis, basically. And I'm always getting something in all the time. Matter of fact, there's something else ordered. It's a triple monitor mount that'll be on the way this week. I just got DVI to HDMI cable, mini display port to HDMI cable. I mean, just different cables, different things. I'm always ordering all the time, and being able to better track those deliveries and different packages on the go like that is essential for me because I have to know exactly where everything is going because sometimes I'm ordering parts for customers and to build their computers and fix their computers and things like that. So it is very imperative for me to know and not just have to go to, eBay or wherever I bought it, run the tracking, and and have 4 or 5 different ways. Well, it's nice to enter a tracking number and have it update as it goes, and you just hit the app and just see the progress of it. So very cool app, and I actually might give that one a try. I really like the deliveries app, but I think I'm going to go ahead and give that a try. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely, and I've been using it now for probably about 5 days, and I absolutely love it. It's been absolutely perfect. You can delete shipments when you're done with them, and just being able to be in sync across every single device I own really is a big deal to me. And that's something that too when Apple came out with messages for the Mac, that syncing of messages, I find I want that out of every single application that I can possibly have. I would have like Finder sync to my phone if I could, and if syncing is awesome. Syncing and me are best friends. So this application is a must-have for me. And so, like I said, if you find yourself shipping a lot of packages, definitely go ahead and check it out. So that's all we have today for episode 16 of Tech Habit Weekly. Dontae, thank you very much for joining us. Let people know where they can find you.
You can find me. The best place to find me is at twitter.com at KC Nightmare. That is KCNIGHTMARE.
Awesome. And so, yeah, thanks for joining us and all your crazy impressions and whatnot. I'm sure that's why people keep coming back and our Miley Cyrus plugs.
Well,
but exactly. And you and your 12 cores over there.
Oh, yeah. All
So
12
we do
and
actually have a exactly. You can't go wrong. And those 3 displays. So we actually have some end of show announcements. The first one being is that actually we have a live build coming up this Friday. It's probably going to be at about 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be building a Haswell Hackintosh. It's going to be a pretty nice system. We actually have dual GPUs this time around, 4770K. So this is going to be another live Hackintosh build. If you've never seen one of my live builds in the past, just go on YouTube and type in live Hackintosh build. I'm sure you'll find it. I've done, I think, 3 or 4 of them now. And so I like to do one every generation, like of Intel processors. So I did one for Sandy. I did one for Ivy. There's actually another one in there that never made it onto the channel. And so now we actually have Haswell. And so this will be a pretty nice build. So you guys can come and just hang out for, 2 or 3 hours or so while I build the computer, stop by in the chat room. It's going to be a fun time. Of course, Mr. Casey Nightmare here will be there. So we'll be going back and forth talking tech for hours on end. Of course, Terrell in the background producing it all is a huge job. So huge shout out to him. And also on Roach Technology, I did update my customize a computer form to include Haswell hardware and Ivy Bridge E hardware. So if you're thinking about a Hackintosh, don't want to build it, or even a Windows PC, I do Windows PCs too. So if you'd like to, potentially have me build a computer for you, my forms have been completely updated. Just check out roachtechnology.com/customize, and we'll go from there. And also, if you didn't catch the show today, maybe you're watching it on iTunes and you want to have, these tech stories throughout the week. You want to have these deals that we advertise on the show throughout the week. Check out One Place for Tech. That's 1p4t.com or actually .co. Also 1p2b.co. And there you can get your tech stories all week long, your deals all week long. And then you can actually study up. And then when it comes time for the show, then you can have sort of a background on the stories we're going to be talking about, and then you can join the conversation that way. So be sure to check out all those things that I just said. I know it's a lot of information, and I don't want to overload you guys, but we're going to let you guys thank you for watching next week in episode 17.